President Henderson, we are live.
All right, I want to welcome everyone. This is the Camden County East Chapter of the NAACP. We're stationed or located in Lawnside, but we cover 33 other boroughs in Camden County. Welcome today. We have a Driving While Black. The goal is to get home alive. All right, and today we have two distinguished panelists. And I'm going to give a basically, first of all, I'd like to thank the sponsors too. We want to name the sponsors at the end, all the sponsors or co-sponsors of this event, and of course, the Camden County East NAACP. What we need to know, we got, again, experienced law enforcement officers who's been there basically and done that. I'm going to read or introduce them with their bio, and then I'm going to allow them to comment, give their welcome, and then we'll start, okay? I'm going to first present to us Fernandez Massenberg. You would never think he was a Black guy, but his name is Fernandez Massenberg. Born and raised in Philadelphia. He went to Temple University, go Owls. Has a MA from Seton Hall. Go Pirates, and been with the Philadelphia police officer for 8 years and the New Jersey State Police for 20 years, okay? Mr. Massenberg, brief comment, and then I'll go to Mr. Cooper.
Well, good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on the panel. Hopefully my experiences I can convey some experiences that hopefully will benefit our young people in this tumultuous time that we're in. Thank you very much.
And brother, you've been retired now for how long?
3 years, going on 4 years, sir.
So it took 3 years to get that beard that way, right?
Well, there's actually been.
But you weren't a state trooper that way. I know you weren't a trooper that way, but that's cool.
Absolutely.
All right, you're good. You're good. And the other panelist we have is brother Victor Cooper. All right, he's a New Jersey guy, born in Elizabeth, went to Cranford High School, went all the way out west to do his education at Fresno City College and Fresno State College, played football, came back and somehow in the last minute became a trooper. All right, brother Victor Cooper graduated from the 112th State Police graduating class, 1989, recipient of the High Physical Fitness Award, finished in the top 5 best recruit, as voted by the instructors, top 10 as voted by the class, and had 84 recruits. All right, 14 years in the New Jersey State Police before retiring, and then became Director of Security for the Philadelphia Eagles for 5 years. All right, brother Victor, a couple words and then we'll get on with the program.
I think this is, first of all, thank you so much for the invite. I think this is a very important topic, and I'm extremely enthusiastic about sharing my experiences with the group here tonight. Thank you so much.
All right. So now we're gonna roll and get the first area that we want to identify is there a problem? Because we know that in America, America is basically rooted in falsehood, and they may not even see that there's a problem. We in the community has a problem. So, brother Fernandez, if you can, just talk about the problem as we see it,
well,
and the problem as is being seen.
Well, there's a lot of problems, I guess, but the main problem is that they don't see, America does not see us as equal. And a lot of the laws and the statutes that have been established, we have been disproportionately affected by them because they do not see us as equal. And even Mr. Cooper can attest to this. When we both joined the state police, we were treated in a way that they just didn't understand us. They didn't understand our capabilities. They didn't understand when we excelled, how we excelled. And even when we were out there trying to do our jobs, they just didn't understand how we were coming to a lot of different problems with the approach and the things from our approach. They just didn't understand it because they really feel that this is their country, and we have to conform to the rules that they kind of written up, and they don't want our participation in the writing of these rules. They just want us to obey and follow the rules.
And before I move on to Brother Victor, tell us how you became a state trooper, because you were Philadelphia police and for 8 or so years. Tell us how you became a Jersey trooper. Okay,
well, very quickly, I mean, I lived in West Philadelphia, and I saw, right in the middle 80s, late 80s, out my neighborhood was starting to really decline as a result of the crack epidemic. And I just decided to be a part of the solution. And I became.
Is that Philadelphia or Jersey trooper?
I became, yeah, that's when I was in Philadelphia. And I was working in Philadelphia, and I mean, it was nothing more than just information came over our teletype back then that New Jersey was hiring. And I looked at the salary and the benefits. I didn't know much about the New Jersey State Police other than I didn't want to go over there without my paperwork being right, because I knew New Jersey, they didn't play around. And I got in the academy, and I was back in the frying pan in the academy again at 34 years old.
Okay. All right, Brother Cooper, touch on the problem, identifying a problem so that we know there's a problem and that everybody knows. A lot of times we don't want to take for granted, because it is a little bit better for Black folks. It's not back in those movies you see in the South with those one thing card. It's a little bit more than that, but there's still problems. So I'm gonna give you a couple minutes on that.
Yes, thank you so much. I don't disagree with anything that's already been said. The major problem is that we're not represented in that profession at the extent that we should be, because we're not seen as equals. We're just not. And so when people say things like there needs to be more training, no, there doesn't. The training's fine because it works in the white community. Don't tell me that. The only problem with the training is in the Black community, because we're not seen as equals. So until we represent equally within that profession, we're going to continue to have problems. So the problem is the simple fact that it's not that we don't want to be in that profession, is that there are barriers that we can't hurdle that have been placed there purposely that keep us from getting into this profession so that we can participate in being guardians in our own communities. I mean, that's really the nuts and bolts of it.
And I want to just add a little bit on that. And what I want to know, that there is a problem which may be masked, because I grew up in an all-Black town. Mm-hmm. So we had a Black police chief, we had a Black mayor, Black principal, Black doctor, Black dentist. Everybody was Black until we were at the high school. Then it was integrated. But then I went to college, okay? I went to North Jersey. And so my frame of reference was Black cops treating you a certain way. They saw us on the corner in Lawnside. They said, you guys need to get home, et cetera, et cetera. When I went to Montclair, and then I went to a friend's house in Asbury Park, coming back home from that friend's house on a Saturday, I still see it. It's been like 40 years ago. Coming back home, not home, coming from Asbury Park to Montclair on a Saturday evening, okay? My senior year, in a Volkswagen Beetle. Got that? You got a picture of Volkswagen Beetle. My friend was driving, I'm in the passenger seat. Next thing we know is boom, 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 boom. Police cars, where are those police cars coming? We're talking, where are those police cars going? Next thing you know, those police cars stopped us on the Garden State Parkway. And I didn't know, your heart popping. The guy that I was with evidently had some prior experience with the cops, because he said, hey, Lloyd, hey, don't do any fast moving with your hands. Put your hands on there, and don't do anything. And I'm saying, I was like, well, what is this? These guys came out with their guns, and to make a long story short, was they thought that we robbed the bank, and after about 10 minutes, we're out on the car with our hands up on the car while they go through the car, whatever. All right. Didn't find anything because we didn't rob any banks. Okay. And then they left. I don't even remember them saying we're sorry. They just left. You guys not there. But the bottom line was, after I recovered, I said, man, we need to get stopped. If we're going to rob a bank and a Volkswagen Beetle, we should get stopped. And then we should go to prison. But go ahead. All right, let's go. So the problem, what I want to say is, just because your hometown cops or police officers treat you halfway decent, that doesn't mean your neighboring police officer, when you drive, is going to treat you the same way. That's the moral of that story. That would have never happened in Lawnside with the Lawnside cops. But now with the Garden State, or no, state trooper, these are New Jersey state troopers that stopped us, we're in a different ball game. So the problem is, it may be well at home, but when you're driving, you're normally driving outside of your town. So there's a problem, okay? And moving on, the need for change. Brother Cooper, we'll start with you. How can we change this? I mean, what needs to be changed?
Well, I think there is some education that's necessary on our part in order to keep Black and brown people from attending funerals when, for motor vehicle stops. I mean, that's for sure. And if I could, I think that there are a few things that we can do in order to assist us in that endeavor. And I'm speaking specifically about the talk. And when I talk about the talk, I talk about that discussion that parents have with their Black and brown children, teens and young adults around the dinner table. And the purpose of this talk, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but let me go, is to educate young people on how to handle a police engagement, such as a traffic stop. So what makes me uniquely qualified, as well as many other Black men and women, about the talk is, first, I'm a parent of African-American children. Second, I'm a retired state trooper who served on the turnpike during the 90s, during the height of the racial profiling on the I-95 corridor during that so-called war on drugs. And lastly, born during the 60s, which was a turbulent time in this country. And I think that those things are very pivotal as we begin to talk about solutions to this particular problem. So what I've done, not just me, but with some other people that I work with, is condense this talk into 7 steps. The first is the reason for the stop, DWB. So at the time of the stop, the reason may be exactly what you suspect. You got stopped because you're Black. That's why you got stopped. And if I can convince you to go there, you'll reduce your temperature. Okay, I know why they stopped me. Okay, somebody needs to be the adult, and I need it to be you. You need to be the adult. And if you can expect it, then you won't be as upset about it when it happens. And the escalation process will be reduced. The second is know that the light is your best friend. If you're stopped, you roll down the windows or turn on the interior light, weather permitting, and make sure that everybody can see everything that's going on in there. Don't give anybody an opportunity to do anything that will keep you from going home. We're not talking about, or when I talk to people about this, Brother Lloyd, I'm not talking about how to win in court. I talk about how to go home. I'm telling you how to go home. And the third thing is when you want to go home, you need to make sure your hands are visible. And so that means the front seat, you know what to do with the hands on the wheel and on the dash, and the back is hands on the headrest. You know, you're going to go all out to make sure that nobody understands or feels like I'm threatened in some way, shape, or form. And fourth, there's communication compliance. What I mean by that is, you know, if they request, and they will, for your license, registration, insurance, you want to let them know, listen, my license is in my back pocket. Is it okay if I reach in my right back pocket and get my license, or into the compartment within my car to get my registration? And make sure you're both in agreement that that is okay before you reach slowly to do that. Very important. Fifth, listen, politeness is your friend. And politeness carries into what we talked about previously, is that you're not upset because you expected that. You know how they roll. You expected it. So be polite. Don't even give them a reason to be upset with you. Remember, I need you to go home. We'll get to that later. We'll get back to their behavior later, but I need you to go home. 6, you have the right to remain silent. Please. It's okay to say, I'd like to consult with my attorney. In every question you're asked, it's okay to say that. That's fine. Again, you're not going to win that fight on the side of the road. I need you to go home. We'll fight another day. And 7th and final, never consent to a search. And if they search without your consent, don't intervene and stop them. Let it go. We'll fight that another day too. Again, the goal is to go home. I need you to go home. We need you to go home. So those are the things that need to happen, is that there's education that needs to happen on our part with our youth and our young people and all people, because it doesn't even matter how old you are, they're just killing indiscriminately. But the point is that there are some things that I think we can do to help ourselves when we're out on the side of the road in the middle of the night or the middle of the day, when they have the upper hand. We need you to go home.
Brother Fernandez, want to add anything to that? Highlight.
Very well said, Mr. Cooper. So many times I see things escalate out of control when people are upset that they're not being treated fairly. And to Mr. Cooper's point, we're not going to try to argue our point on the side of the road, right? But there are things, like Mr. Cooper said, that we can do to help ourselves. Because we have to understand, this is not, we're trying to make sure we're safe, right? And a lot of times I see people, they're so upset because they think they are stopped because they're Black, and things just get out of control. There's a way. I mean, we always say, like, you can talk your way in and out of a ticket, right? And if you know somebody's after you, don't give them a reason. I mean, try to better your chances. It's the same thing if you use that analogy. If you're playing sports and you have an opponent that they might be better skilled at one thing, you have to know that and try to work your strengths against their weaknesses. But what I see was happening, I just had this conversation with a former coworker of mine. And I asked her, I said, what, because she's still working. I said, what do you think the problem is? Is it escalation of crime now? Is crime becoming more violent and more, you know, just more abundant? Or is it just the police are just out of control? And she said both. The direction from the top is not clear. People are getting frustrated. The citizens are getting frustrated and don't feel safe. So There's no clear message. There's no clear understanding that if I do get stopped, I would be safe. I never in the time that I ever started driving felt that if I got stopped, I wasn't going to make it home. I was nervous, and I felt that sometimes I was treated a little unfairly, but it was never to the point where I thought my life was being threatened by the police. And now people feel that their lives are being threatened by the police, where they're taking things into their own hands, whether they're running from the police, whether they, all kind of different things. So there's no clear message. It's like the Wild Wild West. So we have to understand that, and we have to try to give ourselves what they call a uniform code of conduct. If I want you to respect me, I have to respect you. I can't start hollering and cursing at you. Why are you stopping me? I have to remain calm. Like Mr. Cooper said, hands are your enemies. Keep your hands in sight. First of all, let's rewind. When you're driving, first thing you need to do is make sure that you are a licensed driver and all your paperwork is in order for your vehicle. Second thing, you have to make sure that whoever's in your vehicle understands that this is your vehicle and they don't have anything that will jeopardize your freedom by putting something in your vehicle. Obey the traffic laws. If you are speeding, don't be upset if you get stopped. They might be stopping you because you're black, but you were speeding. Don't give them a reason.
Okay, now those are good. Now the thing that stood out to me and before is what I believe Brother Cooper said. We have to have we should not have to, but we have to have the mentality to expect to get stopped. Yes. Because if you expect to get stopped, then it's not a surprise. And it's not a surprise. Of course, when you prepare for something, you limit the surprise level. Mm-hmm. All right, that's why people practice in sports. They practice certain plays or expect certain plays, so it's not a surprise. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Number two is I want to ask the two officers here, troopers in particular. I was always told that try to get your documents as soon as you stop before they come out the car. Is that what you guys say about that?
Brother Fernandez, please.
What do you say about that? I'm stopped. I mean, I see the light. I know it's me. I pull over, park it. I go get it right away. So when he gets here, I already have it. Well, what do you guys say about that?
Well, let's understand that police work operates in a large gray area, right? So there's no definites. But if you can retrieve your documentation before the officer gets to the approach, so it doesn't alarm them, then that might be okay. Because if I'm getting you to a stop and I'm watching you, and then I see you reaching for something, that might be a problem. Okay, so you have to just understand that. I think you just have to understand how it's going to look to the officer. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. A lot of officers are nervous, and they're just as scared as you are. Maybe some of them even more. So you have to understand, all officers aren't created equal. Everybody has different experiences. You know, they come from different backgrounds. So you just want to make sure that you put yourself in the best situation, the most advantageous situation as possible. Even me, I have been followed through the supermarket. When I get stopped, I mean, I have had officers, not now because I guess the gray hair kind of lowers their suspicion of me or whatever, but I have had officers look at my ID. I would just graduated from the state police, still had a fresh buzz haircut, looked at my ID like I was a forged document. Mm-hmm. Because he couldn't believe that a black guy was a state trooper.
Mr. Cooper?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Brother Fernandez. I think it's absolutely right. And, you know, I think that if
Well,
it's,
get back to the question of
yes.
get that stuff out before he gets out the car if you can.
Well,
Before
I
the
think,
cops get out the car, because you can see before he gets out that police car, if I can get those 3 documents: insurance, registration, license.
I think it depends on the situation itself.
Okay.
If you can do that safely and have it in your hands with your hands on the steering wheel or on the dash when they come up, you're good. If that's not what you're comfortable with doing, you wait until they come and request it and then tell them where it's located.
Okay.
And get permission to go after it and wait until both parties agree that it's okay, that I go to my back pocket or I go to the glove box slowly and retrieve the items that are requested.
So I had a parent tell me that when she allows her son to drive her car, that the documents, she has already put the documents out on the dash. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So in other words, he doesn't have to look for it because he probably doesn't know where it is. It's not his car, it's his parent car. So she has it already on. I mean, that's just one avenue to address that. In other words, you have the insurance, you have the registration, and you have your license all in one little, like, I'm going to say like a sandwich bag before you leave home. Before you leave home.
Well, if you remember, there was a time when the insurance companies gave you like a little sleeve and you would just put everything in that sleeve. But your documents should be easily accessible, not where you have to go digging around and fishing around, and they should be all together.
And we got to know that you know where it is, but your son may not know where it is. Your son doesn't drive the car that often. Your daughter may not drive the car that often. They might be down there looking for something. They should know where it is. They should know where the document is, where they can get it quickly and easily. It shouldn't be under, I'm going to just say, a stack of books.
Okay, well, you're absolutely right. So here is what I advocate. That glove box should contain nothing but a registration and an insurance card. That's it. Get the rest of that stuff out of there. You don't need it in there.
Okay.
So when you open it, you don't have to fish through anything. You don't even have to look. You put your hand in there, you laid it on exactly what you want. And there's nothing else to see. They did not see, it looked like a gun, it looked like a knife, it looked like a this or that. It was exactly what you were reaching for. And there was nothing else in that space. That's it.
Now
clip together.
All right, Fernandez.
In today's world, when they ask you for your documentation, with the exception of your license, unless the car is yours, they have already ran the tags and have all your identifiers. They ran a tag, they know who it belongs to, they know if it's expired, they know all that stuff, right? I would stop before I stopped the car, I had already ran that stuff and it was coming back, right? Technology.
So what are you looking for then? You already know everything. What are you looking for?
Well, basically, I want to see if you have your information. Because I can give you a violation for not having your information.
Yes.
Now, the reason for the stop might have been you were speeding or something, but that was my excuse, right? Because the excuse is you gave me the excuse. Now I can go for something else.
Okay.
Right? And maybe you did have drugs in the car. It all started with that speed. Maybe you didn't have the license on you. And now to top it off, now you're being a little rude and you're getting argumentative. Now you're actually putting yourself more in trouble.
And that's what we have to address. I mean, we have to address that, as you said, you don't want to get rude with the officer. You want to be polite with the officer, but you already know, I'm going to say it, you guys not going to say it, that the officer doesn't like you. I'm going to say that. The officer probably doesn't like you, okay? I don't want you guys to say it. So if you notice somebody doesn't like you, you can also expect how they're going to treat you.
I think you're giving it too much credit. The officer doesn't like you or dislike you. He don't care about you. He doesn't. It's not after that
Okay.
stop, he ain't even thinking about you. So it's not even about like or dislike. It's all really about you, because the officer is the officer. You have to control what you can control. You can't control the officer, because there's a whole lot of other people that the officer can go after. There's plenty of people out there. Control yourself. Control.
Right.
You riding around. I mean, there's no law against having your music loud, but if you know that the police are out looking for an excuse, don't give them one. Don't give them one.
And as one of you guys did say, the police cars today already know the information. They type it in, they find out what kind of car it should be. So if it's painted black and it's supposed to be a white car, they know that. They know the registration. They know who owns the car. Okay. So if it doesn't match, then they can ask questions. Well, whose car you're driving, et cetera. And we don't want to lie to the officer, because the officer already knows the answer for the most part. All right, knows that car, that the registration expired last month when he stops you. He already knows that. In fact, some police cars have a scanner that's working while they're driving. They're not even worried about you. The car comes past you going the opposite direction. The tag scanner picks up and beeps in the car, and then the officer knows that car violated. It just turns around and follows you. And you want to know why a cop is behind you. The cop's behind you because the car is illegal. Came up on his screen, illegal. He wasn't even thinking about you in the most part. That's what happened to me. I'm just saying that. That's what happened to me again in Gloucester City too. So these are personal experiences. That was recent. All right. I didn't know that my registration had expired, because the dealership told me they took care of it, and they didn't take care of it.
Right. So,
okay.
President Henderson, if I could.
Yes, you may.
I'm going to, based upon experience, there's a slight disagreement with what Brother Fernandez said about police don't care. I think they do.
No, when I was saying that, I was saying in reference, they don't care about, it's not a hate thing. They don't care about whether you're black or white. Like it's not personal. That's what I mean. It's not.
I think they do.
I think they may. Yeah.
I think
that you might have some out there now that make it personal.
I believe they do, and I believe that based upon the results in the white community versus the results in the black community, there's a radical difference, and it's based on race. And when I think about my own experience, as a 15-year-old, coming from a math group study group in high school, from a white female's home, there's 4 of us there, and I live 10 minutes away, and I decided to jog home because, it's 8 o'clock, I'm done, I gotta go home and football practice the next day, XYZ. And a police officer from my town, where I grew up in high school in Cranford, stops me and accuses me of breaking in cars on the other side of town. I had nothing on me, nothing. And here's the thing, you know what my get out of jail line was? I came from a white person's house, and I can take you there right now and they'll vouch for me. He said, okay, get in the car. He took me to jail.
He took you to jail?
Yeah.
Not to the house?
No.
Yeah.
And I pointed to my house. I was close enough to my house that I could point to it. He said, you don't live there. I said, yes, I do. I'll invite you in to meet my family. And he took me to jail.
Hmm.
He took me to jail.
We're gonna see, do we have any questions? We're gonna turn it over to questions from the question and answers. I know there probably should be a few. Do we have any questions from Zoom?
Yes, President Henderson, we do have some questions. Right now, our first question is from one of our members, Diane Frank. Her question is, quote, is there or should there be a direct push or recruitment from local colleges or colleges around the country for Black state troopers?
Anybody want to take that?
I'll take that. I think absolutely. Myself and many of the people that I served with, minority troopers that I served with, were recruited by the state police. Watch this. Predominantly by one guy, one Black recruiter in the state police, recruited the majority of the people for 10 classes. One guy. He went to colleges and universities. Matter of fact, I found out because someone I went to school with became a state trooper, another African-American, but my next door neighbor knew that I was interested, and she tried to call my house to tell me that she saw an exam in the newspaper in Elizabeth and couldn't get through, and she walked across the street in the pouring rain with the newspaper over her head to say, hey, Victor, listen, there's a test in Elizabeth, you know, you need to get there and take that test. I went, and that's how I got in. And so, yes, there needs to be more of a effort to recruit Black and brown people because they're out there and they're qualified and they like to be a part.
And community groups have to initiate that. Community groups,
Yes.
Civic group, we have to do that. We did it with the NAACP back in the early 2000s, but we need to continue to make that push, even on the local level. Go to your mayor and your police chief and say, if it's not diverse enough, they should be doing that. Do we have a second question?
Yes, President Henderson, we have another question from a NAACP member and also a mother of some of our youth council members, Ethel Jones. Her question is, quote, do you suggest using your hazards and driving to a lit location since light is our friend, unquote?
That has always been something that was suggested. It all depends on how far the safe or the lit area is, because you don't want to be interpreted as someone who is being is disobeying police, police commands. So if the lit area is right down the road, I mean, maybe within a few feet or okay. But if the lit area is a mile or two down the road, that's not going to be something that I would suggest. So, all these things are just suggestions, and you have to use your common sense with them, because you don't want to be interpreted as someone that is just being disobeying police orders, because that won't be a good thing.
Well,
Okay.
I can say from my own experience, that's something that I experienced many, many times, that people have put their hazards on, slowed down. We'll talk about my time on the turnpike. They would go on the shoulder, at like 35 miles an hour and try to get beneath a street light and then stop. I knew what they were doing. They just wanted to get to a safe location. That's fine. And then we handled the transaction, at that point. So, the police need to understand that the motoring public are afraid. And they're trying to get someplace safe where they feel like they can actually interact with you in a way that doesn't put them at a disadvantage, like in a dark spot where, oh, you just saw a gun. There's no gun, that was a cell phone. So we need to understand that. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. And you should avail yourself to it if need be.
Okay, another question? Any question from Facebook or?
Yes, President Henderson, we do have more questions. Our next question is from Ms. Melanie Burney. Her question is, quote, Should you keep your credentials in the seat, unquote.
Who wants that?
I'm not sure what that means.
What's the question again, please?
The question is, should you keep your credentials in the seat? Your driver's license, your registration, should you keep it in the seat?
I'm not sure. what that means.
I'll say this: you want to keep your credentials in a place where you don't want to lose them or they slip down in the between the seat. So
Mhm.
I know sometimes if I have something in the seat that falls down, it might take me for, I might have to stop the car to get it, so, you want to keep them in a safe, secure place, but somewhere that's accessible. You don't want to lose them, because if you lose them, then they're no good to you.
Yeah, I agree with Brother Fernandez.
Next question.
Our next question comes from Russell Dunnings. His question is, quote, can we please clarify that students should not be moving around in the car while the officer is approaching, unquote.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, yes. I would strongly suggest you not do that. I would strongly suggest that you would make your hands visible on the steering wheel, on the dashboard, on the headrest if you're in the back seat, to make sure that because for police, the enemy is your hands. If they have visual of your hands, there is they feel that they're relatively safe. So give them that feeling of safety. So no. And then when they come up and request what they need from you, agree with him or her where the documents are and where you're going to reach slowly to get them. And once there is an agreement upon where the documents are, the glove box, my back pocket, my jacket, wherever, then you slowly reach into that space and grab the documents and present them to the individual.
Does the how we address the officer when he or she approaches, is that something you want to highlight?
Well, yeah. I mean, again, we need to be respectful. Don't escalate the situation. Assume that that person. Let's put it this way: you be the adult. You're going to be the de-escalator in the situation. So what you're going to do is you're going to, if they come up there huffing and puffing, you bring it down. Remember, you knew they were going to stop you, right? You knew it. You expected it. So you're going to be the de-escalator, because again, this is about you going home. I need you to go home. So you're going to be the de-escalator in the situation. And you're going to say, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, officer. My name is blah, blah, blah. How can I help you?
Okay.
I need a license, registration, insurance. It's in my glove box. Is it okay if I reach and open it right there? Oh, yes, it is. Okay, great. And then slowly do that and present it to them. You're going to have a nice, calm conversation. This is not winning and losing. This is about living.
And that may be difficult because your heart is probably beating,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but we'll have to work. It is calm. You got to take control. Next question.
Yes, our next question is from Melanie Burney, quote, in this current era of police misconduct, it seems that you need video to be believed. What are your thoughts on trying to turn on the video when stopped by police? And President Henderson, we'd also ask that you interject as an attorney to talk about whether it's legal or illegal to video police in the state of New Jersey, if you know. Thank you.
All right, let's answer the question with the video.
Well, I'll say this. I remember when videos, they were camcorders, or back then they first came out after Rodney King incident. And any little thing, people were pulling out their camcorders and they were recording you. It wasn't illegal, and we had to get used to them. And if you were doing what you're supposed to do, there was nothing to worry about. And I tell you, now a lot of police officers have the body cams, and the body cams work both ways. So they've actually helped uncover the truth. But I've never had a problem with it because I never was trying to do anything wrong. But they work both ways. So they can help the police, and they can help the citizens as well.
So, I mean, if I guess if we are adept at being able to have that video working on our cell phone, I think I'm not a police officer, I think it's good. It's not illegal in New Jersey. So you can do it, but you want to do it in a way that you don't bring harm upon yourself. As a bystander, you can also video the officers too. You just got to stay back. You can't interfere with what they're doing. But if you're back at a distance, they can't stop you from video, from taping, and that's almost. They're trying to pass a law, as you see in some states, but right now, that's the law. You can do that. Let's take 2 more questions.
Okay, the next question is from Lori Baynard. Quote, what happens when an unmarked police car is trying to pull someone over? Can 911 be called to see if it is a legitimate police officer?
Well, number one, I know in New Jersey, we could never be, if I would, because I was undercover for a while, and I could not stop a vehicle without a marked car. Now, when I did have an unmarked car, I had to be in uniform, so I definitely would step out, and they would see my uniform and everything. But I mean, you could always call in. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how the public would feel about that and how they would kind of navigate that, because it's a little time delay in reference to getting verification on that. But I know you could not be in an unmarked car in plain clothes and stop a vehicle. You had to have either a marked vehicle or you had to be in uniform.
Yes, I agree with Brother Fernandez. In the state police, there are tactical patrol units that are in unmarked cars, but the troopers are in full uniform. So when they get out, you know what you're dealing with. You know exactly what you're dealing with. But to be in an unmarked car without uniform, you're going to need someone in uniform, preferably in a marked car, to assist if that's what you're going to do. I'm interested what President Henderson would have to say about that.
Unmarked cars, normally, and you see more and more people with unmarked cars. More and more townships have cars that you would not expect to be police cars. But if you look carefully, you see that they do have the lights. All right, but I would say they need to be in uniform, and if you can call. I mean, you can always, even on a uniform officer, you can always ask for a supervisor. Hey, could you call your super officer? Please call your supervisor, and and that's the question. And they're supposed to call the supervisor.
And one of the things you can always do, you call 911 and just give your location.
Right.
Right.
And they'll find out. Yeah. They'll
find because if there's no officer there, I mean, back in the early days, stops weren't always called in, right? But now stops, everything has to be recorded, has to be verified. So if you say I'm here and somebody's stopping me, if they don't have anybody that recorded or called in a stop there, then that's a problem.
All right, our last question.
Yes, President Henderson, we have one last question from a member, Joyce Guy Patton. Her question is, quote, should we set our phones to record as soon as the officer approaches, or does that escalate the interaction?
Can I answer that? I don't see a problem with recording an officer because the officer's recording you, but just be conscious of the space. Don't shove the phone in the officer's face. I mean, because it's just common sense. Nobody would want to, the phone shoved in their face. And then you don't want to, I mean, the hands in the distance is what really escalates the situation. So if you're recording, long as you're not putting it in someone's face, I think you're okay. But just be conscious of your space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any last comment? We want to thank Mr. Massenberg and Mr. Cooper for helping us tonight. As a beginning on driving while Black, what we should be remembering, and number one thing is to expect to get stopped, and then know where your hands are. That's what I would say. I would take from here. And as we close out, I just want to make sure that we give the shout out to the Deltas, the AKAs, the Word of Life Church, Kappa Alpha Psi, which is my fraternity, and also Brother Fernandez, and the KCDC, which is the 501c3 of Kappa Alpha Psi. Now, Miss Aziz,
Yes.
you can do that.
Yes, President Henderson, yes. Ms. McFadden, who is our second vice president, and she is also the president of the Theta Pi Omega of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, would just like to speak for 19 seconds and just say how thankful she is about the program and how a joy it was to be co-sponsored. Ms. McFadden, you can speak now.
Are you on mute, Ms. McFadden? Can't hear you. You on mute, Ms. McFadden. I see the red microphone.
All right, we can go on to the next person while we're waiting for Ms. McFadden. Next, we have Mr. Eric Holmes, who is the president of the Burlington-Camden chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Mr. Holmes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eric Holmes. I'm the pole mark of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, Burlington-Camden Alumni chapter. Good evening to the president, Brother Henderson, and to the officers, Brother Massenberg and Brother Cooper. Great program. I see the vision. I love the vision. I hope this continues on because we need this type of dialogue within our communities. Real quick, one thing I heard earlier, somebody said they weren't sure why it's escalated the way it is. My personal opinion, there's nothing new under the sun. We've been dealing with this for years after years. I think the difference is now what we've been talking about, the technology, everything's exposed. That's the only difference that I see. Now we have it all in the light. Whatever's in the dark shall come out in the light. I think that's where we're at right now. But once again, great program. I can't wait to the next one.
Thank you, Brother Holmes.
I believe, President Henderson, that Ms. McFadden is now off mute.
Yes, I just wanted to thank my chapter members for being on the call tonight and thank the presenters for a wonderful, wonderful presentation. And of course, to my President Henderson for his leadership. Thank you.
And thank you for being co-sponsor, and also Brother Holmes. All right. And any other comments as we close out? I think we're 4 minutes over, but go ahead.
Well, we just want to acknowledge we do have a member of the New Jersey Garden City Alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She just wants to say hello and thank you for the program.
Okay, and we thank you for your sponsorship.
Good evening, President Henderson, and to everyone who is on the call. I would like to thank my soror Aziz for welcoming me and encouraging me to join your unit. And I wish that Mr. Cooper and Mr. Massenberg would have addressed African-American females driving. My daughter drives 18-wheelers for Amazon, and she drives overnight. And one time she was stopped by a state trooper because she was 1 mile over the speed limit. And she was very upset. She immediately called me. I was listening the whole time. And Gratefully, she didn't get a ticket, but it was just very unnerving for her. And I know we're always concerned about our African-American boys and men, but I wish you had have had the time to address our African-American women and young girls, because my daughter is only 27 years old and I worry about her driving overnight, and she drives out of state as well. So thank you for the program. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, President Henderson, for welcoming me into the unit.
Thank you for being a member. Thank you and your sponsors.
Mr. President, may I?
Briefly, yes, you can.
Yes, briefly. To my sister, nothing that Brother Fernandez said and I said was male dominant. It went to anybody, literally. So it covers your daughter as well. Please know that, please.
And before I thank everybody again, the number one thing that, the number one thing is that we shouldn't have to, because we're full citizenship, but if you expect to get stopped, then we will act accordingly. All right, when I drive through a certain town in South Jersey, I expect to get stopped. So I make sure I'm not 10 miles over the speed limit.
Right.
I make sure of that. I make sure that I do certain things because I expect to get stopped in this one particular township in South Jersey. But again, I do thank everyone. I want everyone to have a, is Ms. McFadden still on?
Yes, I am.
You want to close us out in prayer?
I'd be happy to do so.
Thank you so much.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Precious Father, we thank you for these wonderful moments that we've had tonight and for the information that's been shared. Father, we pray that you would cover us all, Lord, as we go through these dangerous times, Lord, and just help us all to be mindful of the things that we learned tonight and put them into good practice as we go forward. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
And thank you again, and we look for your membership too. You can email me. It's only $30. All right. So if you're not a member, you should be a member. All right. Have everybody have a safe week.